Alright, so it's the 15th of June 2015, and I'm standing just outside of City Hall in Manhattan. I've got my bike here with me and I've got my camera hooked up to it, and in this video I'm going to show you a tour of 3 of the bridges which cross the East River: the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, and the Williamsburg Bridge. So as I said, we're going to be starting just outside of City Hall, which is where the Brooklyn Bridge starts on the Manhattan side. So just outside of City Hall there's this park with lots of people in it. It has this nice big fountain in it. And that building over there with the 2 domes on the top, that's the Park Row building, which at one time was the tallest building in the world. And this building over here, which is the Woolworth building, which also at another point afterwards was the tallest building in the world. So just across from City Hall is where the walking and biking path begin for crossing the Brooklyn Bridge, and straight ahead you can see the first big pillars with the arch in the middle for getting across. See, there's lots of pedestrians on the bridge, or a lot more pedestrians than cyclists. The way that they have this bridge set up is that one side is for pedestrians going in either direction and the other side is for cyclists going in either direction. So that's why I'm riding on the left-hand side. So right now we're climbing a hill because you have to go up and over to get across, because they built the bridges so they were nice and high above the water so that all the big ships could still pass easily below them, because New York was a big shipping town, huge harbor where lots and lots of goods came in and out of the city. So we're quite high in the air now, but we're still on top of the mainland. We're not on top of water yet. So the Brooklyn Bridge connects the lower part of Manhattan, the downtown area, with the borough of Brooklyn. Unfortunately, it's kind of a foggy day today, and I'm crossing my fingers that it's not going to start raining while I'm making this video, but it certainly feels like it's going to rain. Although it's not sunny, it is very warm outside and also feels very humid. Alright, so now we're over top of water. And the big pillar there at the top says the year 1875, which would have been when that pillar was built, although the whole bridge didn't open until 1883. So I'll just take a little stop here so I can show you the pillar as viewed from below. So there's the big arches made out of stone. One of the only stone suspension bridges. Most of them are made of steel, at least the structures. But this part was built just like an old building at the time. So I can feel the platform that I'm standing on is rumbling a bit, and I think that's from vibrations from the cars which are underneath. So this bridge has 2 decks. It's got this bottom deck where there's cars that drive along it, another one on the other side with cars going the other direction, and then there's this top section where pedestrians and cyclists are allowed to go across, and I believe below us is another platform where the subway crosses. So over there in the distance, looking to the west, you can see a big grassy island or green island. That's Governor's Island. And if it was a clearer day, beyond there, a little bit to the right of it, you'd be able to see Liberty Island, which is where the Statue of Liberty is. Unfortunately, it's too foggy to see that today, but here's a picture of it that I took from yesterday. All right, so we'll continue on along the Brooklyn Bridge. So now we're over top of the water. Lots of tourists wanting to take their photos. So this bridge was certainly the biggest and best at the time it was built. You know, no bridge that was this long or this big had ever been built. And as I said, we're talking back in the mid 1800s. 1875 was when the pillars were built. A very nice place to come on a bike or on foot if you're in New York City.
And all the subways down there.
Oh, I can see Liberty Island from here. I'll zoom in on that for you. So as I said, it's pretty foggy, but the Statue of Liberty is still visible, but just barely. And here's the other big tower for the bridge. Pretty much an identical copy of the other side, at least as far as I can tell. And I wonder what year this one says on it. Not sure it says a year. No, it doesn't have a year on it. At least not in the same spot where the other one did. Alright, so now we're on top of land and we're going downhill, descending down into Brooklyn. The last time I came here, back in 2011, I rode my bike across here as well as walked across. And something that I remember about that was that when I was crossing, there were lots of cyclists that were going across they seemed like they were commuters, you know, they had places to be. And they were going pretty fast, and they didn't have a lot of patience for people that were, you know, standing around in the bike side. So instead of having a bell on their bike to ring at them like this to get past, a lot of them had whistles in their mouth, and they just keep blowing the whistle, which would be louder and would startle more people. So I hope you're enjoying joining me, riding along with me as we ride through New York City. This is my second day of sightseeing, and I'm planning on making lots more of these videos. I did film one yesterday, which was my ride up along the Hudson River, along the nice bike path which follows the Hudson River pretty much for the full length of Manhattan. So if you haven't already seen that video, I'll provide a link to that so you can go and watch it. This style of video is something that I've been working to perfect over the last couple years. back when I first got my action camera for my bike, I'd seen lots of people that had filmed riding videos and put them on YouTube, and usually they would, you know, either just leave them as they were or they'd put some music on them. But I found that if you didn't really know what you were looking at, it was kind of, you know, unless you lived in the neighborhood that they were riding through, or it was a neighborhood that you're familiar with, then seeing those videos didn't mean a whole lot because you didn't really know what it was that you were looking at. So what I started doing was getting a microphone and mounting it on myself, and then as I'm riding, I just narrate what it is that we're seeing. And people seem to enjoy these kind of videos. I filmed one of them when I was on my vacation last year in the Netherlands, riding through Amsterdam, and that was a pretty neat video. Alright, so we're off the Brooklyn Bridge now, and we're now following signs to the next bridge which we're going to go on, which is the Manhattan Bridge, which goes right back to New York City from where we just came from. But it kind of, both of these bridges kind of go on a diagonal. So the spot that it drops me over in Manhattan is not that close to City Hall. It's, you know, a mile or so, maybe a kilometer or so to the south. Or to the north, I mean. But we will be riding for a short distance in Brooklyn. And if you're not familiar with me, I'm cjhoyle, and I make videos like this and other ones, bike maintenance videos, all kinds of videos. And I'm from Toronto, Ontario in Canada. So if you're a New Yorker that's watching this video, this is a way to see how the tourists experience what it's like to be a tourist in your own city. The reason I mention that is because lots of people have watched my Amsterdam bike video. Lots of people have watched it that are from the Netherlands, so it's a new perspective for them. So this right here above us, in front of us, the blue thing, that's the Manhattan Bridge, or the very beginning of it. And you can see there's a sign that says Manhattan Bridge, and there's a bike above it. So to get there, you go this way, and we'll loop around. So this bridge is set up differently than the Brooklyn Bridge. It does have a bikeway and a walkway, but they're on different sides of the bridge. So unlike the Brooklyn Bridge, we're not going to have any tourists, pedestrians walking on the wrong side, getting in the way. Not that I'm extremely impatient for that kind of thing, especially when I'm on vacation. Well, the last time that I came to New York City, back in August of 2011, I rode across the Manhattan Bridge, this bridge that we're on right now. But at the time, I think this deck of the bridge that I'm on right now was closed, because I definitely remember riding on the other side. On the I guess the southern side of the bridge. And I think they must have had this one closed, and they had pedestrians and cyclists temporarily sharing the other side. So the Manhattan Bridge is a newer bridge than the Brooklyn Bridge. It was built in 1909. So by no means is it a new bridge, but it is built about 30 years after the Brooklyn Bridge was finished. So the big pillars in the middle are made out of steel or iron instead of stone. Just like with the other one, we've got lots of climbing to do to get up to the middle. And the other neat fact about the Manhattan Bridge is that the company or the person that designed it was the same person that went on to build the Tacoma Narrow Bridge in Tacoma, Washington. And if you're not familiar with that bridge, I recommend searching it on YouTube. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge was the one that was built that had a lot of, when there was high winds, the bridge swayed back and forth like crazy. And the bridge didn't last very long. In a big windstorm, it got destroyed shortly after it was finished. So he built this bridge before building that one. So it makes you wonder. Hope he didn't make the same mistakes on this bridge. So over on our left, there's a subway train that's going across. And we're on the bottom deck of the bridge. There's nothing below us. But there is another subway, set of two subway rails beside us. And on the deck above us, kind of up and to the left, that's where the cars go across, as well as cars go across in the middle, as you can see. I'll just take a stop here and show you the view looking to the north. So as you can see, we're over top of the East River now, and this is looking north, and you can see another suspension bridge which is out over there. That's the Williamsburg Bridge, which is the third bridge which you're going to be riding on, so it's the one right after this one. And over there is Queens. Just going underneath the big pillar on the New York side or the Manhattan side, and now we're descending down the big hill back down to ground level in Manhattan. And the spot that this bridge drops us off, it's in Chinatown. Easy to pick up lots of speed coming down a hill like this. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring my GPS device with me this morning. That subway train's very loud. As I was saying, unfortunately, I forgot to bring my GPS with me today. So that means that this video will not have any speedometer or heart rate monitor in it. Something that I try to include in all of my videos for this trip at least. Be prepared to stop. Construction and bike lane ahead. Proceed with caution. Alrighty. So here we are in Chinatown. I'm just right across here. So in preparation for this video, yesterday I was riding around this area just so I could make sure I could find all of the connections that I need to make on the streets to be able to get from one bridge to the next. Navigation's easy when you're riding right on a bridge, but once you're on the streets, it's kind of easy to get lost if you don't know what you're doing, especially when you're multitasking, trying to narrate a video as you're riding. So just like on the other end, I've managed to find a street which has a bike lane to connect, although the next street which I'll be on does not have a bike lane. Oh, gotta get past this guy. The reason he wasn't moving was because he was gonna back up into that parking space which I was blocking. As I said, kind of hard to multitask. This car is trying to do the same thing. I'm gonna go up and around. So this park that we're going past on the right, it's called Sarah Roosevelt Park, and it's a park which spans a long linear section, but it's broken up by blocks, and it's got all kinds of different activities inside of it. Tennis courts and playgrounds and splash pads and you name it. So I believe this is where I got to turn right, and it is, yep. Alright, so unfortunately this road does not have a bike lane on it, and it's kind of a busy road, but I'll be very careful. I've got a stop sign here, but I'm going to push forward a little bit and see that there's nobody coming. Oh, someone is coming. But the way that the streets are set up, so that there's so many one-way streets, it's really surprisingly safe to be able to proceed through red lights after you've stopped and looked, because there's only one direction you have to look. And you see pretty much every cyclist does that because there are so many stoplights that you encounter when you're riding. Most pedestrians do it as well, rather than wait for the walk symbol if it's very obvious that it's clear to cross, and they just go ahead. A pizza delivery person on a bike. A lot of pizzas get delivered by bike in New York City. Something that I don't think they do anywhere in Toronto. At least it's not common, and I've never seen it. So we're just about at the Williamsburg Bridge, another suspension bridge going across. And another very clear red light. So although I rode up to this point yesterday, I have not actually ridden on the Williamsburg Bridge yet. I just kind of turned around once I got to here. Although I did ride on it back in 2011, and at the time I considered this to be my favorite of all the bridges to go across. And you'll see why once we get onto it. We'll just wait to get across here. And it looks like we're going to be lucky with the rain and it's going to hold off for us. There's the walk symbol. And there we go. And again, we got to climb up the bridge. The Williamsburg Bridge was built or completed in the year 1903, so it's a bit older than the Manhattan Bridge, and I believe it held a record for being the longest suspension bridge for a very long time. And what I love about this bridge is that there's so much room for cyclists. We've just got this big, wide, double cycle path. I need a drink because I'm getting pretty thirsty. So we're still climbing and we're still over mainland. We haven't gone over water yet. So as I said, the bridge was completed in 1903, and it was the second bridge which was built that spans the East River, and it was built only 20 years after the big Brooklyn Bridge was built. So this was second, and then the Manhattan Bridge was third, and the Queensboro Bridge was built and finished around the same time as the Manhattan Bridge. So there are basically 3 or 4 big bridges which span the East River, and they were all built in the span of a little over 30 years. So New York went for a century without any bridges, and then all of a sudden they just built 3 of them, and they haven't built any new ones since then, at least down at this end of the island. They have built a few tunnels under the river though. I'm certainly feeling the humidity. Pretty sweaty right now, and it's too humid for the sweat to evaporate off of me. So here we're going underneath the big pillar, and I'll just pull over here to the side and get a shot of that. There's a cargo bike. So the bikes have this whole platform for themselves over on the north side of the bridge. In the middle there's subway tracks, and then there's cars further over that way, and I think there's cars below us as well. And there's the big pillars, big suspension cable, and a subway train going past. So we're still climbing. We're not quite at the middle of the bridge yet. As soon as we reach the middle, we'll be gradually going downhill, and I predict we'll be going much faster. There's a view out to the north. You can see there's a big ferry there. The next bridge up the river is the Williamsburg Bridge, but it's not really visible right now. I think it's kind of, well, I can kind of see it, but it's definitely in the fog. It's kind of far. Over that way, that's the buildings of Midtown. And just barely through the fog, you can see the Empire State Building. Alright, so here we go down the hill. Oh, and they do have these little transfer points in here as well. If you want to go and get a view of the other side, or you want to walk your bike, you can come over here. Although this is only for pedestrians, so I shouldn't be riding here. Alright, and here we go down the big hill. Now earlier when I said that I thought this was my favorite bridge in New York, at the time this was the only bridge that had its own separated bike lane like this one, where the Manhattan Bridge, as I said before, this side of the bridge was closed for that one, so you had to share the bridge with pedestrians as a cyclist. So that was certainly something that I like about this bridge, but I still think I prefer it because it has the advantage of, you know, being kind of more open, and you get a nice view looking in both directions. And it also feels wider the way that these railings are built. So after I'm done making this video, I'm gonna explore a little bit more around in Brooklyn and up in Queens as well. And then this evening, I'm going to a baseball game, as long as it doesn't get rained out. I'm going to Citi Field where the Mets play, because my hometown team, the Toronto Blue Jays, are in town for 2 games against the Mets, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And the Blue Jays are on they just completed, yesterday they're on a 11-game winning streak, which is the longest winning streak they've ever been on, tied for the franchise record. Today they're going to see if they can extend it to 12. So at the end of the bridge, there's this park with this big monument in it, which is a good place to end the video. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed joining me on my journey across the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, and the Williamsburg Bridge. Stay tuned to my channel for more videos of me riding all around New York City. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought, and thanks for watching.